The first sound was glass, splintering, shattering, singing against tile. Then came his voice. "Don't you dare lie to me, Claire." The wine bottle he'd thrown bled mellow down the kitchen cabinets, pooling at my feet like a wound. My husband's face, gentle once, patient, impossibly kind, was now a mask of disbelief and raw, trembling fury. I'd seen him angry before, yes, but not like this. Never like this. The air between us crackled, thick with truth too poisonous to stay hidden. "I'm not lying," I whispered, though my voice betrayed me. My throat burned with the weight of what I couldn't say. He slammed his palm against the counter, so hard the plates rattled in the cupboards. "Then say it. Say it to my face. Claire, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me you didn't." His voice broke. "Tell me you didn't sleep with my brother." My lungs turned to glass. Every breath felt sharp, dangerous. The room tilted, walls bending, air tightening. I could hear the rain outside, heavy and relentless, like the sky itself was in mourning. I wanted to lie. I wanted to reach across the counter and rewind time. But the truth sat in my chest like a buried knife. When I looked up, his eyes were wet, glistening with something between horror and begging. "Please, Claire," he whispered. "Please tell me I'm not losing my mind." I opened my mouth and said nothing. That silence was louder than any confession. His jaw locked, his shoulders stiffened. The color drained from his face like a man watching his whole life unravel in real time. "Oh, God," he said under his breath, stepping back. "It's true." I wanted to move, to explain, to apologize, to something. But all I could do was watch him stagger away like someone hit by a moving car, dazed and bleeding from the inside. Outside, thunder cracked across the sky. And just like that, the secret I'd kept buried for months ripped open, spilling into the storm. It hadn't started with lust. That's the cruelest part. It started with loneliness, the kind that seeps into your bones and makes you ache even when you're loved. Ethan, my husband, was kind, responsible, grounded. He worked late, came home tired, and held me as though nothing in the world could hurt me. But sometimes love becomes quiet, predictable, safe to the point of suffocation. And then there was Ryan, his younger brother. Everything Ethan wasn't. Reckless, magnetic, impossible to ignore. He moved through life with that dangerous ease of a man who had nothing to lose and knew exactly how to make you forget your own boundaries. The night it began, Ethan was out of town for a business trip. Ryan had stopped by to drop off something for his mother, a photo album or some small family errand. I don't remember. What I do remember is the way he leaned against the kitchen counter, a beer in his hand, his eyes lingering too long on mine. "You look tired," he'd said. "I guess I am." He smiled. "He works too much, doesn't he?" I should have stopped it there. I should have walked away. But there was something in the way he said it, soft, knowing, dangerous, like he saw the loneliness I tried so hard to bury. One glass of wine turned into two. Laughter became touching. Touching became a kiss that burned straight through the guilt I didn't yet feel. It was supposed to be a moment, stupid, meaningless. But moments have a way of growing roots. Ryan started coming by more often, fixing things that didn't need fixing, staying longer than he should. Every time, I told myself it was harmless. Every time, I believed my own lie a little less. Until one night, when the storm outside matched the one inside me, and I let him stay. The guilt afterward was unbearable, a physical weight pressing on my ribs, stealing my breath. I told myself I'd end it, that it was a mistake. But Ryan wouldn't let go, and I was too weak to make him. He'd whisper things Ethan never did. "I think about you all the time. You deserve someone who really sees you. He doesn't know what he has." And in those stolen hours, I felt alive. I hated myself for it. But guilt and desire, they don't cancel each other out. They feed each other until you can't tell the difference between what you crave and what you fear. I became two versions of myself. The dutiful wife who smiled through dinners, and the woman who met her husband's brother in secret, pulse racing, heart pounding with shame and need. I told myself it would never come out, that I could keep it buried forever. But secrets rot, and eventually they find the light. It started to unravel the week before the wedding. Ethan's sister, Marissa, was getting married. The whole family was buzzing with excitement. Ryan and I hadn't spoken in weeks. We'd both agreed to stop whatever it was between us. I thought it was over. I wanted it to be over. But at the rehearsal dinner, when I saw him across the room, his eyes catching mine, a flicker of something dangerous sparking between us, I knew nothing had really ended. Ethan was at my side, talking with his parents. My smile was polite, practiced, but inside, I could feel Ryan's gaze tracing every inch of me. Later, when I slipped out to the terrace to catch my breath, I heard the door slide open behind me. "Claire," he said softly. My pulse quickened. "You shouldn't be here." "I know," he said, stepping closer. "But I had to see you." "Ryan, please, not here." He looked at me the way he used to, hungry, desperate, as though he'd die if I turned away. "Do you ever think about me?" "Don't," I whispered. "Please." His hand brushed my wrist, barely touching, but it was enough to set every nerve on fire. "I can't stop," he said, voice breaking. "I tried, but—" The door opened again. Ethan stood there, frozen. For a heartbeat, the world stopped breathing. He looked between us, the distance too small, the silence too heavy, and something in his face broke. He didn't say anything that night. Not a word. He smiled through the wedding rehearsal, laughed with his family, and acted as though nothing had happened. But his silence was a living thing, cold and sharp. I knew he knew. I could feel it in the way he touched me later, gentle, almost clinical, like he was trying to memorize the shape of what he was about to lose. And then, the night before the wedding, I found his phone left unlocked on the table. A single message glared at me. From Ryan. "She means nothing to me. Don't destroy the family over this." My blood ran cold. He'd told Ethan. The room spun. My knees went weak. My heart began pounding so loud it drowned out everything else. I ran upstairs, but Ethan was already waiting for me. The look in his eyes was not anger anymore. It was devastation. "I needed to hear it from you," he said softly. "But I guess Ryan couldn't let me have that." The wine bottle, the shouting, the silence, all of it followed. And now, as I stood in that kitchen, trembling and soaked in the scent of spilled mellow, I realized there was no undoing what had been done. Ethan left that night. Didn't pack. Didn't look back. Just drove off into the rain with eyes that didn't belong to the man I'd married. And tomorrow, the wedding, loomed like a guillotine waiting to fall. The morning of the wedding dawned gray and heavy, the kind of sky that presses down on everything it touches. I barely slept. The storm had passed, but the silence it left behind was worse. Every creak of the house sounded like accusation. Every reflection, on the mirror, the faucet, the window, seemed to stare back at me with disgust. Ethan hadn't come home. His phone went straight to voicemail. His absence was a presence in itself, thick and unbearable. Still, I went to the wedding. It wasn't bravery, it was denial, a desperate need to pretend, for just a few more hours, that my life wasn't already in flames. I wore pale blue satin, the color Ethan once said made me look like calm water. I pinned my hair carefully, covered the puffiness around my eyes with makeup that couldn't hide the truth. When I arrived at the church, the air buzzed with laughter and camera flashes. Ethan's family, my family, moved in warm clusters of conversation. No one knew. No one, except the two men standing at opposite ends of the aisle. Ethan near the altar, Ryan by the door. Their eyes never met. I could feel it, the invisible current between them, charged and volatile. A family built on love now brimming with resentment and shame. Ryan's gaze found me first. He looked hollow, unshaven, desperate. For a fleeting second, I thought he might say something. Come over, confess to everyone just to end the tension choking us all. But he didn't. He just stood there, jaw tight, eyes full of something close to regret, or maybe self-preservation. Ethan didn't look at me at all. The ceremony began. Marissa walked down the aisle radiant in lace and joy, her smile pure, untouched by the rot that lived beneath the surface of a family. The priest spoke of vows, of fidelity and trust, of promises made before God. Every word was a knife twisting deeper into my chest. When he said, "Love does not dishonor others. It always protects, always trusts, always perseveres," I felt my breath hitch. Ethan's head tilted just slightly, his profile shot beneath the church's soft light. For a second, I thought I saw the faintest tremor in his hands. I wanted to run. But guilt roots you to the ground. It makes you witness your own ruin. The reception was held in the Marlowe Estate's garden, an elegant canopy of white lights and laughter. Music floated through the air, clinking glasses, champagne bubbles, the hum of happiness I no longer belonged to. Ethan was distant, polite. He greeted guests, smiled for photos, even laughed once or twice, but his eyes never softened. They turned into polished glass, reflecting everything, feeling nothing. Ryan drank. A lot. Every time I looked up, I caught him watching me. The space between us was a graveyard of unspoken things. I could feel the collapse coming. It was only a matter of when. And then it happened. Marissa had just tossed a bouquet. Laughter erupted, applause echoing under the canopy. The DJ called for a toast, and Ethan, my husband, who hadn't said a word to me since the night before, stood up, glass in hand. The chatter died instantly. He smiled, too calm, too practiced. I just want to say, he began, how happy I am for my sister and her new husband. Marriage is a sacred thing. The guests murmured their agreement. Marissa beamed. But, he continued, his tone changing, sometimes marriage teaches us painful lessons. About love, about trust, about how well we really know the person sleeping beside us. My blood froze. Ryan stiffened across the table. His mother's eyes darted between us, confused. Ethan turned, finally meeting my gaze for the first time that day. His voice dropped to a calm, terrifying softness. I used to think betrayal came from strangers, he said, but sometimes it comes from the people you'd give your life for. There was a ripple of unease. A guest coughed. Somewhere, a fork clinked against glass. And then Ethan raised his glass higher. So here's the truth. To family, and to finding out who we really are. He turned his eyes to Ryan. Cheers, little brother. The words hit like a detonation. Ryan's face went pale. Gasps scattered across the table like sparks from a fire. Ethan, their mother whispered, her hand trembling on the tablecloth. What are you saying? But Ethan wasn't done. He looked back at me, his expression unreadable. I think everyone deserves honesty, don't you, Claire? My throat closed. The room spun. I could feel hundreds of eyes on me, confused, curious, suspicious. Ethan, I said softly, please don't. He cut me off, voice cracking like thunder. Don't what? Tell them how my wife and brother have been sleeping together behind my back. The world went silent. No music, no laughter, only the echo of his words hanging heavy in the air. A child started crying somewhere near the back. Ryan stood, his chair crashing backward. Ethan, stop. Don't you speak. Ethan shouted, voice breaking. You think I don't know? You think I didn't see the messages? The lies? The way you look at her. Guests whispered. Some got up. Marissa stood frozen at the head table, a bouquet trembling in her hands. Ryan moved toward Ethan, pleading. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. Like what? Ethan roared. Like destroying our family, like making me a fool in front of everyone I love. And then, softer, heartbreak bleeding through the rage. You were my brother, Ryan. His voice cracked, and for a moment, no one breathed. Ryan lowered his head, tears glistening. I'm sorry, he whispered. Ethan's hand trembled around his glass. He threw it down. It shattered, scattering shards across the dance floor. Then he turned and walked away. No one stopped him. The aftermath was chaos. People tried to comfort, to hush, to pretend the wreckage could somehow be swept beneath white linens and polite smiles. But the truth was out now, bleeding through the family like poison. Ryan disappeared that night, packed a bag and drove off without saying goodbye. No one's seen him since. Ethan moved out the next morning. He didn't yell, didn't fight. He just looked at me once, empty, hollow, and said, You broke everything we built, Claire. You don't come back from that. He was right. It's been 6 months now. I still wear my wedding ring, though it feels like wearing someone else's ghost. Sometimes I dream of that day, The garden lights flickering, the sound of glass breaking, Ethan's voice shaking as he said my name. I think of the way Ryan looked at me afterward, guilt eating through him like acid. The way Ethan didn't look at me at all. I replay it over and over, searching for the moment I could have stopped it. The single decision that sent it all spiraling. But every path leads to the same place, the fracture. And the cruelest part? I love them both. In different ways, for different reasons. And that's what makes it unbearable. Because love isn't clean. It's not always noble or kind. Sometimes it's a wound you keep pressing, just to feel alive. Now, when I passed the Marlowe estate and hear the laughter of a new family inside, I realized that what we destroyed wasn't just a marriage. It was the illusion that love and loyalty always coexist. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they destroy each other.